All right, Erika Brown of the Cricket is back with us to talk all things Manchester by the Sea and Essex. It's been a busy week. There's a ton going on. How you doing, Erika? Yeah, one of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. I mean, starting off with the recount. Remember, we were talking last week about the fact that we had this, squeaker, the squeaker election of the select board candidate where Brian Sollosy what had beaten Jeff Bodmer Turner the night of the election. The count was that he had lost by one vote, and by the next morning, it was actually after they counted the provisional votes, and there were 10 of those, that he was up by one. And so there was a recount, and that recount happened. And Brian Sollosy is still the select board winner of that seat, but he gained one vote. So he actually won by 2 votes.
Two.
So
Mm.
in the end, it was like 701 by 699 or something like that.
Wow.
So how did the former incumbent feel about that? Was there any?
I haven't spoken to him, and nobody really has. I mean, I actually talked to a couple of people who would speak to him, and they said no. I mean, they're keeping, if he reaches out, great. And that's Jeff Bodmer Turner. I think it was a little bit of a surprise for him, but in any case, no. I'm sure he's accepting the outcome and is kind of moving on to working on his next steps and stuff. I'm sure he'll still be involved with town stuff, but
It's a tough race, though. That's tough.
it was a tough race. It was a tough race. But anyway, so it's now officially our new members are Kathy Bellata, and Brian Sollosy.
There you have it. So other big news, Erika, was in regards to the special town meeting.
Oh, yes. Last time we talked all about the special town meeting. There were 12 articles. They're all about zoning. They were kind of, the select board was really kind of having almost a debate about whether to really bring regional dispatch into that, because it was such a packed agenda. The warrant was really packed with all these zoning things that the planning board has been working on, and with recodification for the last 2 years. And this is all coming to fruition. So everyone thought this was going to be for COVID. It was going to be on June the 11th. We talked all about it. Literally the next day after we talked about it here, the select board had an emergency meeting to actually kick off the special town meeting from June the 11th. And really, it wasn't about COVID. It wasn't about any of those, it's going to be too long, things that have been really discussed. It actually ended up just being about logistics and the fact that there were a lot of people who had problems with life things. There's a lot of graduations happening, a lot of college graduations, and it was just really hard for there to be kind of representation at town meeting. And they really felt as if a lot of people wouldn't be there, and that it was better to put it off. Bottom line, they're meeting, I think, tonight. The select board is going to meet, and they're actually going to reschedule it. And I think they're going to reschedule it for, and let me make sure that I have this right. It's either the 27th or the 28th of June. So it's really not that big of a deal,
Right.
But it is getting pushed off. So it's going to be on the 27th or the 29th, and that'll be it.
I have to commend, I can't remember who wrote it, but in last week's newspaper, which I always read a week late from our interview, you have a great breakdown of zoning bylaws.
Oh, that was actually Chris Olney, who
Yes.
is a member of the planning board, although he did not write this because he is a real estate kind of a development oriented professional. But when it comes to development that is unique, redevelopments of cities and towns across America, he was very involved with things where public and private have to come together to work productively for the future of a community. That's where he lives in his professional life. He was involved, for instance, with the city of Salem's redevelopment. And then also many other things across the country. He understands public-private financing, which is its own crazy world, and very complicated. Things where, tax, tax benefits and very complicated constructs. But anyway, that's him. He decided that he wanted to do a 3-part, basically primer on the history of zoning as a op-ed, which is 1,000 words. We call it A View from Here. And he wrote 2 of them. And the second one was really breaking down the most basic of things like, okay, when do you meet with the Zoning Board of Appeals? When do you meet with the building inspector? When do you meet with the planning board? All these things that are not givens. They're very complicated. things. So anyway, the first one he did was also quite good about NIMBYism and about, not in my backyard, and about the history of that and where it comes from and the actual history of zoning itself in the United States. And, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where it's very interesting about most of the things that people want to regulate today, about the look and feel of the charm of a town. The charm, that's always a code word for no. But most of the things that we live with that are charming in New England happened long before zoning even existed. And most of them, by the way, and like think about downtown Gloucester or downtown Manchester, or any of these, downtown Rockport, these places where you're cheek to jowl, with these old beautiful homes. Those are all non-conforming.
Yeah.
Those are charming. So it's really kind of
Setbacks didn't exist back then.
Yes, exactly. There was no there was no zoning board of appeals. But anyway, so there you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good piece, really good piece. It was thoughtful, simple, and covered it well. Yeah.
So now, Eric, we know, Memorial Day weekend has passed now, and that usually sort of signifies the beginning of summer, since there really isn't spring around here anymore. But that means you have great photos in there too, and it's prom season as well.
Yeah, we call it, like, it's my very favorite thing to do, which is, I call it promomenon, like, because it's such a phenomenon, which every couple goes, and every pre-prom, everyone goes down in Manchester and Essex. Like they go to different places. In Manchester, Tux Point is a really big thing, and everyone goes. It's like everyone descends down there. And so we had some great pictures of everyone sort of posing. You could see sort of the trends of what's cool and what's not. It was very sweet. I love it because you get to watch. It's really not about the parents, even though the parents are like, they look like animals on display, all with their pictures. And they're all quarantined and cordoned off. And it's the their children. They look so beautiful, and they're not children anymore. That's my favorite thing about the whole thing. This is the first time many of them are adulting. They look beautiful. They're groomed. The guys are in their tuxes or in their suits, and the girls they look gorgeous. And they're seeing each other for the first time, like that way. And they look so beautiful, just sort of them together. There was a lot of personal expression, like sort of goth. I mean, I love the whole thing about it. And everyone looks beautiful and is proud and is awesome. So I love it.
Yeah, great photos. As always, that was a cool spread. So check that out if you can, folks. Erika, good luck with everything. We know there's a lot happening. We will speak to you on the other side of this in 1 week's time.
And you have 2 graduates, so we congratulate them.
Yeah.
Thank you. My twins are graduating or have graduated. Amazing.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.